Hello everyone, welcome to State of the Game for October 12th, 2017. Okay, I thought Hamish made a sound. So. Yeah, you made a sound, like a sighing sound or something. No, we're all good. We're all good. Hello everyone, my name is Petter. If you haven't seen me before around these parts, I'm usually quite quick at going through the news. Luckily, it's not only going to be a 3-minute State of the Game today, it's going to be slightly longer because I have some special guests with me today that we're going to talk to. But first, let's go through the news real quick. Let's see how many minutes. Okay, I'm still on 0 minutes, so let's see how fast this goes. First of all, the console PTS is live. It went live on Tuesday. So if you were in the 1.7 PTS, you can download and start testing straight away. A couple of reminder emails were sent out to people who had been playing and people who had been invited but did not claim their code last time. I saw some confusion about that. That's not the new invite emails. Those emails have not gone out yet. They should be going out in roughly, hopefully 1 hour or so CEST time, probably a little bit longer than that. But the aim is to have them out to you tonight. A couple of things that I've seen being brought up during the week. One thing that was a pretty big deal was the changes to tacticians on the PTS. So we've heard you guys, we're doing a couple of changes, or some changes, but most importantly, we're adding the turret back. So weapons are still going to be the go-to thing for building skill power bonus, but the turret will still contribute. So we're going to be tweaking that a bit on the PTS to see how it works. But yes, the turret is coming back to tacticians. Those are the two big news I have when it comes to the PTS right now. The patch notes for the next wave of the PTS will be available at the same time as we make that available. I don't have a date for that just yet, but we'll have more information for you about that soon. What I wanted to tell you is that next weekend, during October, let's see, October 20 to 22, we'll be doing a special Dark Zone supply drop weekend. So it's going to be 2 different days. We're going to have extra rewards from Dark Zone supply drops during one day, and then we're going to increase the amount of supply drops being dropped in the Dark Zone during the other day. Just so you know, more information about that coming, but just so you know, get in the Dark Zone and get those supply drops next weekend. That's the news. I did those in 2 minutes, but we're actually going to jump over to our special guest this time. It's Sam and Mark from Reflections. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Mark has actually you've been on State of the Game before.
A couple of times, yeah.
Yeah, but I still like both of you to kind of introduce yourselves. Who are you and what do you do?
I'm Sam Collier. I am a gameplay programmer on The Division. So, yeah, I've been helping bring to life the global events for the last few months. So.
And yeah, I'm Mark, designer on the global event features for the Year 2 stuff. Kind of curating content and seeing how the community are taking to it, really.
All right, cool. So how we ran Assault, started last week, ended this week. What's your overall feelings on how the global event went?
Generally, it seemed to be quite well received, to be honest. Probably even more so than the first one. We did mess around with the time to kill in this one, and I think the player base quite liked the feeling of being powerful. They look like they maybe ground this one out a little bit more. It was certainly never our intention for this game mode to be a grindy game mode. We hoped that we would generate fun and interesting gameplay, which I think we did. And obviously, hopefully, if the gameplay is fun, the players stick around, they play the global event for the whole week, and at the end they can get away with some pretty cool loot. So yeah, it was really cool to see things like server. It sounds terrible, but seeing server capacity reaching maximum means that people are coming back, people are getting excited, and people are starting to jump back into the division.
Yeah, I was about to ask how you felt that the player reaction had been over the last week, but it's been very positive.
Yeah, I think generally the exciting thing for us is watching the Ubi forums, watching the Reddit, watching YouTube, seeing guys kind of come out and showcase their speed runs and the equipment they're using, and you know, just finding new ways to play levels that when we're in development we kind of try and foresee all these things, but I mean, it blows our mind some of the speed runs these guys are doing.
Yeah. So when you're creating a global event, when you're putting them together, we've seen 2 of them on the live game, where we've seen 2 of them now on the PTS. What kind of goes into creating a global event? What kind of factors do you take into account? What do you want to accomplish when you're creating one?
So the goal is we'll always start with, you know, Division's a year and a bit old now. People have played the content. We want them to approach it in a new manner. So we're looking to change up the meta. We're looking to change up the way they traverse through the level. So anything we can do there that we think might have players thinking differently, that's what we're trying to cling on to and try and generate gameplay through those means.
Right.
It's also about trying to bring things that we think are fun and just kind of building upon it and kind of finding things that we think would be like make missions more exciting or different, or, you know, like you said, change the meta.
Right. So looking at the two global events have been on the PTS now. We're talking about Strike and Ambush, and I know, Sam, you were very involved in creating Strike. So can you tell us a little bit about like the overall concept of the new global event?
So we wanted to kind of change the way that players navigated the missions that they were playing. So we kind of thought we could do this by basically making everything explode. So now the global event will be that if you kill an enemy, then they will drop a sort of a grenade that will damage other NPCs in the vicinity. Then in missions, you'll be able to change this by, first of all, they will then damage you when in the missions, but also you as a player have to mitigate the damage that you're taking. So because if you take too much, you explode, which should mean that players will spread out from each other a bit more, because suddenly you become a hindrance to your allies if you're next to them when you're getting shot. But they will probably be a bit more careful about how they do missions, because if they don't, they're going to take lots of damage.
Right. So looking at Outbreak and Assault, if we compare that to Strike, like for Outbreak you had to kind of stay away from the enemies to make sure that they didn't infect you. For Assault, you were supposed to be more in their faces, which was a lot of fun in a group in Russian consulate, by the way. What kind of concept did you have for Strike? Because we had range for these two. Is there anything in particular you would like to summarize Strike with?
Yeah, I think with Strike it was important that we wanted to kind of spread players out a little bit. It's quite easy now that players have learned spawn closets and things like this to know where enemies are coming from. So they'll tend to clump around the special kind of cover points to give them the easiest access. So by adding this kind of teammate explosion mechanic, where if I explode, I'm going to steal damage, take health from Sam. Instinctively, we start moving around the environment differently. We start taking cover at different areas so that we're not on top of each other all the time. That twinned with the fact that when you kill an NPC, they're going to drop a grenade. It means you can't kind of just face tank through that mission. You have to be a little bit more cautious of your surroundings, because suddenly you kill a guy, you run over to where his body is, you're going to get caught up in that explosion. So it slows the pace a little bit. And I know some of the community are worried about grinding credits and tokens with the slower pace, but it's all about using the modifier in a smart manner to maximize it, really.
All right, talking about global event tokens and the speed of which they are rewarded, that's been a pretty big thing also since Strike went up on the PTS. Changes to the amount of tokens you get for certain missions.
Yeah, we changed three of the kind of cheesable missions, if you will. Amherst's Clear Sky and Lexington. And we did that because we wanted players to have the freedom to, and it's going to sound a little bit counteractive here, we wanted them to play all the content. We don't want to funnel people down to just playing these specific missions. So what we did is we reduced the amount of credits you get on those specific missions. I understand that freedom of choice means if you want to play those ones, you should be able to. So whilst, yes, it's live on the PTS for those 3 missions only, we are obviously monitoring the feedback. We are looking at the fact that in the upcoming ones, there may be more gear sets to get, and by diminishing credits, it's going to be harder to get those. But part of PTS is putting stuff out there, seeing how the community reacts, and then us reacting to that. But as it stands, it's just those 3 missions, and it was just to, in the time available, potentially look at making more missions a viable option for players.
Right. So is there anything else special about Strike that you noticed on the PTS? Anything that you feel like balance changes or reactions to it? That
I think initially we thought it may be a little bit too easy in terms of a challenge. I don't think that's really been borne out in the comments, but we are looking at things like the explosion radiuses, the amount of damage explosions do. We're looking at improving the UI so that it's clearer when people are going to explode, when you're going to be damaged by that explosion. So we're kind of concentrating on the clarity and making sure that players are aware of what's going to happen at all times.
Right. So moving on to the next one, Ambush, which is, I believe, live right now on the PTS.
Yep.
What can you tell us about the overall concept for Ambush?
So Division at one point was a cover shooter, still is, but end game it's a bit face tanky. So again, we thought about pacing here, right? We want people to use the cover, and we want people to get back to the roots of what the Division is and could be, which is a cover-based shooter. So what we do is we say that when you're stationary, there's a bar that fills up, and as that bar fills up, your damage is increased. So the longer you stay in a piece of cover, or the longer you're static, the more damage you will do. And then to kind of mess with players a little bit at the end, with the group one, if you get too close to an ally, they'll start draining that bar down. And then on top of that, for some of the harder ones, once that bar drains based on movement, it will then start stealing a little bit of health from you if you continue to move. So it's just getting players to think about logically, do I cover to cover here? Which talent should I put on? Should I take the incoming damage talent? Just getting them to think about how they move and when they move around the environment. And again, maybe looking to reduce the pace a little bit of the gameplay.
Right. And it's good that you mentioned the bar, because perhaps there needs to be made some form of clarification on how that bar actually works. There seems to be some confusion about that.
Yeah, so it's only ever active when you initiate combat. So it's only once combat begins. As soon as you're stationary, that bar will start to fill. Now, during the fill, it does increase damage all the time up until the maximum point when the bar is full. So between an empty and a full bar, you're still doing more damage over time, but once you get up to the maximum, it will obviously be a maximum. Then as you start to move, that bar will start to drain, so your damage will reduce. You'll still be doing more damage as long as there's something in the bar, but it will be lessened. And then once you've drained that bar completely in the additional modifiers, you'll start doing a little bit of damage over time to your health.
Right. So is there anything special that you notice on the PTS, or it's just basically the bar and the same thing, like clarify the information? I
mean, I quite like playing marksman type of builds, and it's quite exciting seeing people on Twitter putting out their theoretical builds. You know, obviously with Assault, a lot of people run defense. With this one, I think there's definitely more viable ways that you can hang back and become a more powerful Division agent. So it's just literally going through the Reddits, the YouTubes, the Twitter feeds, the forums, and just seeing what guys are coming up with. Because as much as we try and foresee this stuff, like the stuff the community does always is an eye-opener.
As always. All right. Thank you very much, guys, for turning up, telling us a bit more about both Assault and the upcoming global events. And I hope to talk to you guys very soon again.
All right. Thank you. Guys. Cheers. See you later.
All right, everyone. That was Sam and Mark from Reflections talking a bit about the global events, both Assault and the upcoming ones, as I just said to them. I'm briefly going to talk about what the news I mentioned earlier. First of all, the console PTS is live. It went live on Tuesday. If you were in the 1.71, you can go there and start testing straight away. There were reminder emails sent out to people who had been playing the 1.7 PTS and people who had not claimed their code from the last PTS. And there seemed to be some confusion around that. That was not the invite mails. The invite mails have not gone out yet. They should go out tonight, CEST time, so fairly soon. I also mentioned that we're bringing the turret back to tacticians. We've seen a lot of feedback around that on the PTS. Weapons are still going to be the main way to build the skill power buff, but turrets will be added back. Also, I mentioned the Dark Zone event weekend. That is next weekend. It's going to be 2 separate days. The first one is going to reward extra rewards from the supply drops themselves in the Dark Zone. And for the second day, the supply drops themselves are going to drop more frequently. So keep your eyes out for that and go into the Dark Zone and get some more loot. That was State of the Game for October 12th, 2017. I will see you guys next week. And until then, take care, everyone.